Africa, the second largest continent, yet it contains the world's largest number of victims of the AIDS pandemic. The future of Africa, an uncertain one, suffers from more disease and famine than anywhere else on the globe.
This is a world, it's a global problem.
You can't live like this.
I wouldn't want to grow up anywhere else except for here.
Why South Africa is so cold and so clear?
The truth is, nobody wants to adopt an HIV positive kid.
The HIV virus is a virus that mutates very quickly and builds up resistance.
Children are suffering out there.
I came to South Africa to learn more about the HIV and AIDS epidemic and how its children are suffering. During my research in London, I got in touch with Tilly, the manager and carer at St Francis. A very well-managed hospice, St Francis offers children as well as adults the highest quality of aid, the best medication, food and warm beds.
How old is she?
2 months.
2 months.
She has a young mother.
Yeah.
Mother arrives at the hospital, gives birth, and the mother says she has no fixed place to stay. She's from the informal settlements. The alleged father is in prison. Mother's HIV positive, so the mother said, I can't cope with the baby. Others give birth. They go into the hospital with a false address, give birth, and vanish immediately. They initially test HIV positive because they still have the antibodies of the mom in them. We retest at 6 months, and we'll do a final test at 18 months, and some of them do revert and are actually negative. The challenge for us would be to find a suitable foster or adopted parent for her. We have that relationship that once our children reach school-going age, they move on to Epworth. But we always still, if they need further care, they always come back to St Francis. So we've got a very good working relationship as far as that's concerned. And, you know, with this illness, your problem is they do, from time to time, develop opportunistic illnesses. So they have their better days and their less better days, and you just have to monitor them all the time. And then particularly once they're on antiretroviral drugs, you know, the adherence factor is of utmost importance. We've been very encouraged at the antiretroviral clinic. We started in September, and we've had people that have come for counselling and testing, and after they've had their counselling here, they've been able to go home and actually convince their partners to come for testing as well. We won't treat anybody that wants to be dealt with in secrecy. They must either disclose to a partner or to a parent, and we also want to meet those people. For 2 reasons. One is to help with the monitoring of the adherence, and secondly, as a support system for that person. You have to be absolutely sure that they are going to be committed to their medication and adhere. Otherwise, you're developing resistance. The HIV virus is a virus that mutates very quickly and builds up resistance. Our whole mission is to provide a haven where people can die with dignity and warmth and love and care. We average about 35 deaths a month. When we see that the person is reaching the end, either the sisters or the care helpers or volunteers will sit with that person and just hold their hand or just be there. We really don't want people to die alone. We don't refuse anybody treatment, and also regarding payment, nobody is refused. Most of our patients here are not able to pay. So we're very, very dependent on fundraising and donations.
I'm going home. I'm going home.
It was reassuring to see these children were so well cared for, and knowing that eventually they would be given the opportunity to pursue school. I could only think how less fortunate circumstances would present themselves.
It's time for us as our parents to tell our children about AIDS.
We have the knowledge, but we have the tendency of trying to ignore it as if it's not useful. That's our problem.
After meeting with Tilly, I had arranged a quick stop-off en route back to camp to meet up with a lady named Sue, who helped run a Toa, an independent daycare centre run by herself and other volunteers from the community, offering underprivileged families meals, money and nursing children under school-going age.
The prime objective of this project is to care for AIDS orphans. Now, criteria is that one or both parents will have died with AIDS. We have 23 young adults who run our program, all of whom have been trained in counselling and about care of children and abuse of children and loss and grief and a whole variety of things. They did almost a year's full-time training. The youngest one is 19 and the oldest is about 35. They volunteered for a whole year and they are all members of this community.
How's it been growing up around here?
What I am today is because of the community that I grew up in and the environment that I grew up around. So I wouldn't want to grow up anywhere else except for here. If I can inspire one kid to be like me, in 10 he will inspire maybe another one. So in 10 or 20 years' time, we'll have a stronger community.
The mother's HIV is at the age of 39. And they survive with 170.
170 rand
A month.
a month?
Yes.
For 4 people?
For 4 people. And not only those 4 people.
£15 in English money.
The main problem also which we overcome here is that one of, you find out the child has got no birth certificate and what he can't get that grant. So we also arrange for them with social workers so that they can get that grant. I've got also other child who was at the age of 7. They call him Mr. H. So that child is no more playing with the other children because they call him with the other name. Mr. H. Children now are suffering out there. Yeah. Sure. Serious. And people are not aware about this disease.
Unfortunately, HIV and AIDS is not discussed enough. Could the taboo that has stigmatized the virus be the reason for it falling out of control? Even though my visit to a Toa was short, it showed the help that the people amongst the community are doing for their own. Although they had only just really started their project, it looked promising for the future ahead.
This is a world, it's a global problem. It's not just African, it's not just South African, it's a global thing. And we need to join hands and do something about it. We need to be motivated, we need to move into action. Faith without action is dead.
The next day I visited Aikaliethu, a small children's home that cares for 24 children living under the same roof. Miss Mashanini and Tesepo care for all these children and work for nothing.
So these are your kids?
Yes.
So what's the situation?
Bad. This is very bad. Poor.
And these children, where they come from?
From abandoned, orphan, neglected HIV and AIDS.
Neglected AIDS,
Yes.
orphans. And they live here?
Yes, 24 hours. Someone inside.
How are you? You okay? I'm good. I'm Seppelman. Nice to meet you, young James.
After setting up 3 years ago, 7 children aged 4 still share the same bed. Everywhere I looked, it could be seen they were not getting the funding and donations they needed. Many children have been rejected by their families and pushed to the streets because of the reflection that people affiliate with HIV and AIDS.